Well, Germany has been lobbying this morning already for an international donors conference in conjunction or in coordination with Egypt to try to raise some money for the most urgent needs of the people of Gaza:
Emily,
infrastructure, water, food, medical supplies. Meanwhile, some other parts of the world had been planning conferences to try to push peace along, including Russia, which just called its planned conference off because now it seems the work is underway. I think, as we've been saying in the last few days, the optimism remains incredibly high, but measured because we know that peace deals in the past have failed.
hmm And Amy, there's, scant information at the moment about what exactly it was that Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff promised or did or said in order to make this happen. And one of the interesting rules in the United States is because Jared Kushner is an unpaid advisor, he doesn't have the same transparency or disclosure rules that normal diplomats do. Do we have a sense of the backstory of what the tipping point was that got us to this peace deal?
Jared Kushner is, for those reasons, controversial, Allison, because he's family. There was always an allegation of nepotism when he was in the White House in Trump's first term. I think, though, with the passage of time, a lot of respect has built for him. Again, there is skepticism because he's a real estate guy and there are deals being cut in that region. So he stands to benefit financially from the development of peace in that region and the Abraham Accords and stability taking hold. But he's also getting an awful lot of credit for being a very astute operator. He's worked hard to build relationships not only with Israelis and with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, but also with the Gulf Arabs. One tipping point for this process to really get going, it's been said over the last few days, and I've heard it confirmed in the last 24 hours, was that strike in Qatar that failed to kill the Hamas negotiator, who is part of this process as we speak, a- and that really upset the Qataris, who are very important to President Trump. And he, as we know, forced Qatar to apologize to Israel. That really set a lot of the momentum in motion for a united front to make all of this happen. And also, Trump did not like to see Israel becoming so isolated. There had been that wave of recognitions of a Palestinian state, which was a further isolation of Israel, or at least it was interpreted to be that way. And Trump did not want to see Israel, an important ally of the United States, seen internationally increasingly as something of an outlaw state.
Right. So neither side is going to get exactly what they want, but President Trump seems to have shown both sides that he is willing to understand their point of view and perspective and demand mutual respect. One of the things, though, that we have some questions about is whether or not Hamas is actually going to be willing to disarm, and also what's happening ahead of the president's visit this weekend to Israel.
Hamas is not going to disarm fully. And there are discussions about what can be maintained in their arsenal, presumably in an ideal situation under Egyptian custodianship. They will, of course, have to give up heavy weaponry, but they will lobby hard to at least have some sort of access or ownership of smaller weapons because they are worried about what happens going forward. They are very unpopular right now. And it is likely that if some of the members basically disarm but remain in Gaza, that they could come under attack. That will be a very thorny issue that is being kicked ahead to a further date as Israel withdraws to a new border with Gaza. They Israel still will be in this first stage occupying 53% of Gaza. So I think further withdrawal will be contingent, of course, on Hamas being defanged, if you will. And the people of Gaza will be pushing very hard with their Arab backers to get Israel as far out of Gaza as possible, Kieran.
And then there's the big question, Amy, of who rules in Gaza after all of these pieces are put in place.
It's a complicated situation. We've got this board of peace, which will be um, overseen by the CEO, President Trump, who did not win the Nobel Peace Prize, as we know, but he will be leading this board of peace with much support from Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who has done a lot of work in the region. But the composition of the actual Palestinian governing body will be much more complex. There are still something like 60,000 civil servants on the payroll in Gaza. And apparently, half of them are Hamas, and half of them are from the Palestinian Authority, who are not actually doing anything because they are not part of the ruling structure, the Hamas um, body, but they are there to sort of keep Hamas from having too much influence with the Palestinian people. So then some of the most talented Palestinians are working abroad. What their legitimacy at home will be remains to be seen, but it's complex. It's believed that the competent people are out there. It's just a matter of tapping them and finding the team that's most widely palatable to the Palestinian people.
Amy, there's so much about this that's complex. As we've said, the devil's going to be in the details. One of the things that is very complicated is that I read something like 78% of Gaza has been damaged or destroyed. What
Yeah.
what what happens now? What happens after that? How does it become inhabitable again?
It is so heartbreaking to see those lunarscape images of Gaza. The other images that are quite arresting are the ones this morning of people returning home to their towns along this coastal path. Really, there you have it. It is said that the Gazans are incredibly resilient and they will rebuild very quickly, and they will put together a house in no time if they get the materials. But of course, there's a lot of urban planning that should be done in order to make the strip a more inhabitable place
And
and
Amy,
with a higher standard of living.
we should point out, not to interrupt you, but this is a live picture. This is a live image as people are traveling north back to Gaza City. Just an arresting image right there, and speaks to this feeling of hope that it is safe to return to Gaza City, a place where they were forced to flee at the urging of the Israeli military, which launched that campaign of late to try to root out Hamas once and for all. So again, Amy, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to let our viewers know that these are live images coming out of the region. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jim. No, really, those images speak volumes about how desperate people are to get home. But to Allison's point, they don't have their homes. So I can imagine too. I mean, during all this time, there's been a lot of price gouging. People have had to pay crazy sums of money for tents. Um, so there's going to be, of course, some of that too, no doubt, going on because people will get close to their homes, but will need something to sleep under in the night. Um, Apparently, the price of food has come down already because there's great anticipation that this 170,000 tons of aid that's earmarked and ready to roll in should be getting there soon. But that needs to be supervised too, because people are so desperate and so hungry. We've seen scenes in the past where people have been killed or badly injured in the race to get their hands on food distribution supplies.
Amy Kellogg, thank you for joining